Welcome to the 7th Tackle, everyone. This week we've got Nev Cherry from Oakey. How you going, Nev?
Good, thanks. Good, Tony.
Yeah. Mate, hey, how about we start off going back into a bit of history really quickly?
Sounds good, yep.
Junior footy and all that sort of stuff. Are you a Toowoomba guy?
Yeah, Toowoomba guy. I've lived out at Oakey all my life, played all my junior football for the Bears from under 9s to 16s back then.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then seniors?
Yeah,
went back to the Bears?
Yeah, A grade, or 18s first, and then started playing A grade in my first year back in 88, long time ago, with blokes like Mick O'Sullivan, Nev Dukes, those sorts of guys. It's a pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah.
And then, continued.
You would have only been 18, would you?
Yeah, 17, 18, then continued to play till I was about 25, and then got to 25 and just didn't want to play no more.
Yeah.
Just had enough and wanted to go off and do some other things. So.
And then did the typical box head thing, had a lot of years off and then came back as an old man?
Did that. Run around a little bit, sort of hurt a little bit more.
Yeah. How old were you then?
Yeah.
30s?
No, 28 I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 28. Yeah. So I had about 3 or 4 years off and then come back and played around for a season when I was 28 and yeah, look, it did it pretty tough.
And a short bit of time at South.
South, yeah. Scotty Coonan, Sean Radnich, Wayne Ferguson, those guys. Yep.
Yeah. So Nev, like, had a long time out of the game.
Yeah, I've sort of been away for about 18 years.
Yeah, and then you've only just got involved in committee just recently, in the last year.
That's correct. I just woke up one morning last year and thought it's time to go back. So I wasn't really interested in the playing side or the coaching side. I'm more interested in the committee side.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so with the committee, what was the thing that pulled you towards that? What are your ideas and goals as far as a committee man goes?
Yeah, as a committee man goes, firstly and foremost, I want to provide an environment that produces good young men, leaders in the community. But firstly, I think as a club we have to be leaders.
Yeah. And
then produce good young men. And from what I've seen this year, there's plenty about. There's some really good young fellas out there. So,
yeah.
And then the league after that.
Yeah. And so how do you reckon Oakey's going with everything? You're sort of enjoying it all? And
mate, look, having the time of your life. Like Skeet does a lot of the hard work, and I get to sort of reap the benefits of being involved with the men there. And look, I think we've taken huge steps. It's gone better than we ever thought it would. Yeah. We started with an idea, and then it's just progressed. They've really responded to it, to the players that are there, and we've gone ahead and leaps and bounds. It's gone better than I thought it would.
And that difference from last year to this year, yourself, Skeet, Marilyn, the others,
I think it's, Tony, it's just based on leadership. Like, young footballers these days, they're smarter than they were 20 years ago. They can't be bluffed. They can't be lied to or rod. They're intelligent young men, and it's you treat them like a man, they act like a man, and everyone's happy. You move forward.
So moving forward, like the goal for Oakey this year was.
Yeah, we set a goal at the start of the year to win one more game than we lost. Anything after that was going to be a bonus, just to get that stability back into the club, and we managed to achieve that on the weekend. As a club, I think we've won 28 games out of 54 now. Yeah. So anything we do from here on in is a bonus.
And club championship wise, you were leading it at one stage.
I think we're still leading it, and I think it's going to be a real tussle to sort of stay on top there, but we can only do the best we can.
Yeah. And beyond this year, Nev, you plan to hang around?
Oh, look, for sure. Look, we've already got plans in place happening for next year already, and I think, especially in Toowoomba or any organisation, but in the Toowoomba League, you leave it too late, you've missed the cart. You've got to be ready, starting to go October, November. Yeah,
and Nev, mate, outside of this, you and I have had heaps of yarns, all that sort of stuff.
That's correct,
I love it, mate. You're a passionate man, and really passionate about footy and goals for the footy. And we've talked about lots of different things like the impact of social media on football today. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, I found from going away from it 18 years ago to coming back in the bad old days, like, it was left up to a certain personality to foster that culture. Whereas these days with social media, text, Facebook, etc., you can change the culture within a month with the right stuff, with intelligent stuff on there, puts everyone on the same page. And look, we're proof out at Oakey, after a month, everyone's heading in the same direction.
It's a huge influence on the game in that respect. The other thing that it works really big time in the NRL, and it's a difficult thing in the NRL is all that transfers, clearances, and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And you don't think that it's going to impact local league, but
Yeah.
that sort of thing has had a big impact on our competition, hasn't it? You know,
Look, over the last couple of years, it sure has. What we found out at Oakey, that I asked them at the start of the year that if we provide them with a productive environment as a leagues club, that they need to have a very good reason to turn up and want a clearance. Otherwise, we haven't handed out clearances. I think we've handed out 4, and that was for guys to go to other competitions and play.
Yeah.
But if we've upheld our end of the bargain, and it's up to them to uphold their end of the bargain, it's making a commitment for 12 months. After that 12 months, they're free to go.
Yeah. What about trial matches and everything? You had a couple of trial matches at the beginning of this year.
Mate,
you know, like they're starting earlier. We've got a really early comp, hey?
We have.
You know?
I sort of find from the first week of February onwards would be the most productive time for your club in the whole year.
Yeah.
We approached Kingaroy, Pittsworth and Bow Desert, and we come up with the idea that we would go to their club in February and play a trial for them.
Yep.
And then they would come back to us and play a trial for us. That way both clubs benefit from that experience, and we both got the trial match instead of waiting a year about. And look, all the players embraced it like you wouldn't believe, and it was their way of giving back to the club.
Yeah.
And it worked like a charm.
Yeah, and people can have different debates. Like the thing that I like about it is our season is pretty much done and dusted before the NRL semi-finals come on. You know, but it does make it a bit trickier. It's an earlier start.
Yeah.
You're playing trial matches in January, but do you sort of like that idea that we're finishing a little bit before the NRL semis?
I do. Like just going back to starting earlier, I think people have just finished after their Christmas break. They've had January off. Around this area, they're looking for something. They're looking for something to do, and I think the league has to provide that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll go off and do other stuff. There's lots of hard work that goes into it, and the fact that we do finish a little bit earlier, that's our free time. Then we can go off and enjoy the big boys play.
And you had some comments about, you know, the structure of the competition, the size of the competition. You know, like other competitions are involved too. You know, our area's getting a little bit bigger.
I'm still out on this a little bit. I've watched the mini and mod league. Players grow up playing these carnivals. They move into schoolboy football. They're still playing carnivals. The 47th Battalion, from all reports, they come back. All the players love it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I just think the week-to-week structure of league is a little bit outdated.
Yeah.
I think if we can come up with some sort of format where our players and all clubs get to play in some type of carnival. The best example I've seen is the Toowoomba Warriors Reconciliation Carnival, where out at Oakey that 5,000 people turned up to it, over 300 players turned up, and it was the best day I've ever been involved in with league. So that sort of stuff, we can't walk away and ignore it. We have to at least look at it, and I think the players in Toowoomba would respond to it very favourably.
And we're from another era, and the one thing that I've been talking about with younger blokes is it was different in our day. Like if you're a male and you're athletic, you played rugby league.
That's correct.
You know? Yeah. And now there's so many different options of what you can do, and you know that playing rugby league isn't the mark of a man necessarily anymore, but whereas it sort of was when I was growing up. So we don't have the depth anymore, do we? Probably.
I still think it's there, Tony. I still think it's out there in the community. I sort of take league with a little bit of a parallel with boxing, like it's that primal, animalistic sport that kids love the football, they love the boxing, women love the football and the boxing, and so do men. So I still think it's out there. It's just we need to harness that and maybe just head off in a different direction or look at it in a different light. Yeah,
Nev, so we'll group everything together, like everything that we've sort of talked about, hey, like, you know, talking about the old days and how there was so much going on, but, you know, things like, you know, things that are really big now, like player behaviour, crowd behaviour and everything that wasn't sort of highlighted too much previously, and, you know, like, you know, respect for referees and allowing referees to improve and the potential for improvement and all that sort of stuff. You know?
Yeah, like I think they've taken huge steps in this sort of behaviour, and I think 99.9% of people have responded very well to it. As far as like the no punching rules and that sort of stuff, like I think it's good. I think it's good for our league. It's creating a good spectacle. Like it's those bad old days, like they just weren't good for anyone, you know. But whereas it's created a good spectacle, and I think if we can work with the referees a little bit more and direct them in a way that they're being mentored, and we bring some young fellas through, I think the crowd behaviour takes care of itself. Because like people in Toowoomba with football, look, like anywhere, are very passionate, and I believe it starts on the field and goes over into the crowd, because I think the Toowoomba League's done a lot of work in weeding out those people. There's not many of them left around, and I think we just need to take that extra step where people know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, and I think from what I've heard that the Toowoomba Rugby League are heading in the right direction.
You know, it was different in our day, you know, like there's new ways of learning of dealing with frustration today. And our way was that, you know, if you're frustrated on the floor, on the field, it would blow up into a brawl, and then we'd all get it out of our system. And in some respects, it was oh, good, we've had the brawl, and now we can play footy.
That's great.
Whereas it's different, isn't it? You know,
it is.
Guys have got to really learn a different way of channeling that frustration.
Channeling, that's correct. I think I like it now, but I like it the way it is now. I think that's better. You know?
Injury-wise, I think they're going to be a lot better off. There's a few of us that are going around that are a little bit busted from concussion and
that's right. That's correct.
The whole neck thing. How do you find about this? You know, a lot of the talk around the place is this lifting tackle, and there's kids that grow up learning how to tackle a particular way. Now there's a rule change and everything. It is hard to adjust. That you can do a really good tackle and drive into a tackle, but you end up putting it a boke in a dangerous situation.
Yeah, but I think, Tony, they learned how to tackle back then. They'll adjust. They'll adjust. And you'll find, especially young kids these days, the skill set they have, within 12 months, the whole boat's shifted. They'll change.
And you think there's a need for, you know, like, you know, governing bodies, boards and that sort of stuff, of bringing in, you know, additional training sessions for coaches and players and everything.
Most definitely.
To create this adjustment for new rules and everything.
Most definitely. Like things that the Toowoomba Rugby League's implemented with Adair Donaldson coming out and talking with the one punch kills and that sort of thing. Look, players are open to it. They actually, they respond really well to it. And I think it's a great initiative if they go down that track.
Well, Nev, like I said before, you and I could talk all day, couldn't we? You know, about stuff, and it's really good. You know, and it's good to see what's going on, mate, out there at Oakey. And best of luck between now and the end of the year.
Thanks mate. Cheers.
Good on you, Nev.
Bye. See you, mate.